Hello everyone, welcome back to a new episode of How to Reach 2000. We get the black pieces and they play e4. Let's play the Caro-Kann, which starts with c6. They play d4, a very principled move. They're taking the center. Now let's strike in the center with the move d5. They go with e5, which is the advanced variation, and in this position I like to play the move c5. The main line is bishop to f5, but I really like c5 because it has worked well for me. The idea is you're losing tempo, but this bishop is still a very nice piece. Let's block with the knight. They go for the exchange, which is kind of surprising, but also it makes sense. They can try to take and maybe hang on to the two pawns. But now I have the bishop here, so my position is very nice. I just have to activate my pieces and I'll be alright. Here I can simply just take this pawn and I can defend this pawn next move if they take with the knight. They decided to take with the queen, which is not as good. I can develop my bishop to a natural square. It's putting pressure on the pawn. Wow, they go with c4. Quite an explosive move. They're trying to put pressure, but my position is very solid. And they don't really have a light squared bishop to attack me, which is kind of bad for them. I go for this check, but I wasn't worried, because if we trade queens, then we want a nice and active king, and that's exactly what we're doing. If they take our queen, I'm actually very happy to not castle. My king is actually very nicely placed in the center of the board. Go with this move, I'm not too worried. I can just drop my bishop back, and I have an amazing position. Let's develop with tempo so that our opponent doesn't get too much time to develop their pieces. Let's play this move, and if they go knight to b3, they're kind of getting in their way of their own pawns. They decided to go here. Maybe they have ideas of this, but I don't think they work. So let's go here. The idea is to take and maybe go here, or the idea is to bring my bishop back like this, put pressure on this pawn. Currently my bishop is undefended, so I'm a little bit scared. So I'm definitely going to consider playing this move instantly. And in fact, I think I'm going to play this move so that I defend my bishop with the pawn, and I have ideas of playing knight to c6. Let's play rook to c8 because they played rook c1, and we want to have some presence on the only open file of the board. They're doing a good job. Like, they're blockading the d pawn, which is a passed pawn, so it's not a bad thing. It's very good. I can actually play this move, and if they take my knight, I can play bishop takes, which looks really nice. I really like that. If they take my knight, I'm actually going to take their bishop, and if the knight, let's say it goes here, then I'm going to take this, and I'm actually winning. Okay, they go for takes. Now I have this move. Now, if they take with a pawn, I can simply just capture this knight. And I have a very nice position because I have a better pawn structure. The advantage isn't huge, but it's an okay advantage. It's something that I really like. Let's play rook to c8. Idea is to play this, but that would hang this pawn, so I'm not going to play that. They're doing something very principled. They're trying to push their majority on the queen side, which makes a ton of sense, and I have to do something about it so that I can stop their pawns, or at least try to create some counterplay. This is kind of annoying. I kind of like going king e7 to play f6 and e5 and then push this pawn, but I'm moving my king away from these pawns, and that doesn't seem very good. I feel like rook c8 was a mistake, and I should have probably spent more time and played rook to c7. Yeah, I kind of regret that. So I'm going to play rook c7, admitting that I made a mistake. Should have spent more time. That was just a bad choice by me. They're trying to activate. Let's occupy the c file. Actually, I think knight to b3 was a mistake. What if we trade all of the pieces and I try to go after these pawns? Wow, that doesn't look right. Can't I just go here, and they're losing their pawn? If they play b6, I'm going to take and then go after the pawn and win it. I'll be in a very nice position. let's take. This was kind of an unknown move. They should have played that, like in between move, but they don't go for that. And this is very nice and straightforward. I just go behind the pawn, and then I take it the next move. I'm simply up a pawn. I have a nice bishop, and they just hung their knight. Unexpected, but I'll take the win. I played at 86.7 accuracy and my opponent played at 79.8 accuracy. We get e4, I played c6, d4, d5, e5, which is the advanced variation, and I decided to go with c5 because this is what I always play. They go for this check, which is not very good because I can actually trade the bishops, and the bishop trade is actually beneficial for the black pieces because after I play the move e6, I have a bunch of pawns on the light squares. So my light squares are very solid, and I don't mind giving up my light squared bishop. I decided to go with knight c6 because I didn't really know the theory after bishop to b5 check, and this is one of the natural moves that I play, so I decided to go with this. They take, which is kind of weird because they're giving up a bishop for the knight. Their idea is probably to take the pawn, but they didn't play that in the game. If they took the pawn, then maybe it's kind of justified. They can try to hang on to these pawns, but they didn't do that. They played knight to f3, and I took the pawn on d4, and queen takes d4. They should have taken with the knight because the queen here doesn't really do much. At least the knight temporarily puts pressure on the c6 pawn. I played bishop to f5. My idea is after I play e6, my bishop is outside the pawn chain, so it's not passive. If they played knight takes d4, then this would have been a lot harder to play. They go with c4, not a very good move because it doesn't do much. I can just play e6 and my center is very solid. They take, and I take with the c pawn. Now I no longer have a weakness on c6. They go for this check, which is not very good because I can actually offer a queen trade. This improves my position, so if they decline the queen trade, my queen is on a slightly better square, and if they trade queens, then I'm getting my king active for the endgame. There are not many pieces in the position, so I can afford to bring my king into the center without actually worrying about getting checkmated. These pieces are not really developed, so they don't scare my king in the center of the board. Knight d4, very good move. Puts pressure on the bishop, so I drop back, and I bring the bishop out, attacking this knight with tempo. And I decided to go with knight e7, completing the development of my minor pieces. They played knight d2. Knight d2 makes a ton of sense because they're probably going to go to f3 or to the b3 square where they support this knight, and the knight on d4 is going to blockade my passed pawn, which is on d5. I bring my bishop back so that there are less tactics because of my undefended bishop being attacked by this bishop in some cases, but it's just a good thing to defend all of your pieces. Now I play rook to c8. It doesn't really matter which rook I move, so I just went with this. Because my rook on a8 is not really doing much, I decided to go with knight c6, and after they take, it's very important that I don't just blindly take the knight back. I decided to take with the bishop. So the idea here is, let's say they just move their knight, and I'm going to win this piece. And if they take like this, then they just have a really bad structure. As you can see, I have the bishop for the knight, which is slightly favorable for me, and they have the shattered structure. Double pawns in the center are usually not that bad. They play b5, and I played rook c8. I shouldn't have played rook c8. Rook c8 was a bad move. If I wanted to keep the rook on the board, then maybe I should have played rook c7. And actually, after that, I just played rook c7. I should have made a better choice. This thing happens in chess, and it's like very annoying. This is very annoying because, you make a move and you realize it's not a very good move. And then you go right back, and you could have just done this in the first place. You're just wasting time. Now the position is actually +1, so I'm kind of getting cooked, but there's only one line that's +1. They go with knight b3, not a very good move. And now I stack. The idea here is I'm controlling the c-file better than white, I decided to go for the trade, and they should have taken with the rook. Like, knight takes was a big mistake. Knight takes allows me to go rook to c5 and try to snack on these pawns. I play this. I should have played rook to b8 instead, but this felt good as well. Now they play b6 and I take. Here they probably should have played knight to b3, but now that I look at the engine lines, knight to b3 is not very good. Their best move is actually a takes b6, which is what they played. Now I go behind the pawn and I simply just take this pawn the next move. They played the move knight to b3 and they resigned right after playing knight to b3. Knight to b3 just simply hangs the knight. I can just take this knight and I'm completely winning. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video.